Talk about an ass whooping. Let's kick that off, right?
Yeah.
OKC, game 5.
Game 5, man.
Wow.
First episode. Past our prime. Jordan, we're doing it, man.
Yeah, and I was trying to not be biased here.
Yeah, we're trying not to be biased. So we're just going to get it off the record here, man. We are from Oklahoma City. So,
Yes, sir. Born and raised.
Yeah, born and raised. Well, I was born in Atlanta, but Oklahoma City's been home for me since day one. So I lived there for 9 years. So just to get that off of our chest first, we are Oklahoma City fans technically, but we do just like really love good hoops, man, good football, just good teams in general, man. So at the end of the day, we want good games, but we're proud that, you know, Oklahoma City's making it back to the finals, first time since 2012.
Yes, sir.
Jordan, Jesus.
I'll go ahead and introduce myself. Yeah, I'm Jordan Carrillo. This is my best friend, Julian Hoskins. We're going to be creating podcasting content out there, talking about everything sports, hoops, basketball, football primarily. I won't probably touch on hockey. I don't really swing the golf or, you know, swing the bat or anything like that. So that's pretty much it. Julian obviously is going to be a lot more experienced in the game of basketball. More of where I am going to derive my knowledge is going to be football. That's going to be some interesting content coming soon because Julian, all he's ever done is offense. All I've ever done is defense. We actually look at the game differently because of that and how we were raised. So when football season comes around, you can expect some different takes on, you know, how offensive teams can be defense. And speaking of defense, Oklahoma City Thunder.
Holy moly, dude. Like, I can't even express how good this defense actually is. It is the best defense I've ever seen in my lifetime. I mean, we can probably say 20 years, probably started watching basketball around 6 or 7 years old. I'm 26 now. But this is by far the best defense I've ever seen, especially in the modern era where there's just so many threes getting chucked up from left and right. And, you know, the way that they scheme defensively and just force the ball out of their primary guys' hands, it's unbelievable. Like the way that they manipulate guys to shoot the ball. Like they want McDaniels to shoot. They want Nickeil Alexander-Walker to shoot the ball. They're going to live with those guys beating them.
Right. And speaking of McDaniels, he's shooting 51, 52% all playoff long. When you look at the first quarter, I wrote it down somewhere here. He was 0 for 5 in the first 5 minutes.
0 for 6. Or
0 for 6.
Yeah, he started 0 for 6. He had two, Jordan. He had 2 wide, the-ass open threes from the corner. 2 possessions in a row and just bricked them both. And that's kind of when I knew, dude. I was like, this game's over, bro. They just don't have it anymore. They don't have the home crowd behind them booing SGA, screaming foul merchant every single time they touch the ball or whatever. Like, this is a whole different... When you go into Oklahoma City's building, dude,
There's a different energy. All the greats talk about it. All the greats talk about it. Westbrook, Paul George, Kevin Durant, James Harden, all these at top of the line athletes that come from Oklahoma City. They tell you it's a different arena when you go to Oklahoma City.
It is.
I mean, I'm living up here in Minnesota now, right?
How are the vibes over there, Jordan? What's the vibe like in Minnesota?
It's not as sports centered, right? Because in Oklahoma, all we have is sports land, and barbecue. So that's all we have, right? In Minnesota, there's a lot of other stuff going on. I mean, I was telling you during game 1 of the Western Conference Finals, I was up in Buffalo Wild Wings and I was able to find a seat showing up 20 minutes later.
Yeah,
right?
that's
20,
wild.
20 minutes late to the game. And
You're
I'm
talking
able to find
about
an open
wild.
seat.
That's wild.
In Oklahoma City, you have to show up to a restaurant, any restaurant in the stream of the game, right?
30
you have
minutes
to show
early.
Up 30 to 45 minutes early or you will not get a seat for the rest of the night.
Yeah. We went through that situation last year whenever they were playing, who was it, Dallas in that second round for the elimination game actually in game 6.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we had to show up really, really early for that game, man, and it was a disappointing loss. But yeah, man, I kind of want to just go through let's just start out with the key factors to the game, man. Like, what are your key points? I mean, I had so many notes first and second quarter, and after that, I was just like,
sit back.
I don't even know what to fucking write down right now. It's a blowout,
break it down quarter
man.
by quarter.
Yeah. I mean, what is the overall theme of the game? Like, what do you like? I guess is your key factor kind of like the defense? Is that what you would say for this one? Okay,
no, it's going to be tempo early on.
Yeah,
tempo early on. You look at Chet, right?
Mm-hmm.
First 4 minutes of the game, right? It's kind of going back and forth. Who's really going to take away with this, right? Minnesota's up 3-0, right? Chet drains at 3, right? Clean, swish. It was money, right?
Bottoms.
Bottoms, right? Got him fired up, right? Yeah. Power forward, what, 7 foot? 7 foot
7'1".
Right, right. Drains it, right? Yeah. And then from there, Minnesota starts to drive down, right? Offensive rebound. From there, drives down the court, fast break. Oop, dunk, straight there. Yeah. Chet, 5-3, starting off strong, right? Yeah. It just leads OKC on the roll. And Oklahoma City, they're not the greatest first quarter team.
Not in the playoffs, man. Not in the playoffs so far. They've really, really, really struggled first quarter, and they've had to work their way back. I mean, we talk about the Denver Game 7 game. Me and you both thought that game was over first quarter because they were down double digits at the end of the first, and they just seemed so out of rhythm. They seemed like they were so hesitant. They weren't really moving the ball that well. They weren't finishing at the rim. They weren't shooting threes. And that's the main thing that we always talk about, man. It's like if they can just shoot the ball consistently like they've done all season long, then they would win games by 20 or 30 points every single game because their defense is just that good. They're going to hold defenses to a very small margin, like where they cannot make very many errors against the Oklahoma City defense. And you combine that with an efficient offense, if you're just shooting sub even 35%, like 38% from 3,
right,
you're winning the game by like 20 or 30. But like we've seen so many times through this playoffs where they'll start the game 1 for 10, 1 for 11, 1 for 13. They didn't hit their 4th 3 this game until I think it was maybe third quarter.
Yep. You talking about Minnesota?
No, Oklahoma City.
City.
They just pound you in the paint. And like I think that's why I like Oklahoma City so much, because they don't rely so heavily on the 3-point shot. Like if it's going in, by all means great. It's going in. But they, like SGA, leads the league in drives per game for the last 5 seasons, for that matter. But he drives consistently, and they just cannot stop him. They just cannot simply stop him, bro.
It's Kobe. It's Kobe.
It's Kobe.
Like, he can shoot from any point on the court. It does not matter.
It does not matter.
He makes 1-2 moves. It's a little shake and bake, right? But it doesn't matter where he's at on the court. They have to be on him, right?
They have to be.
It's insane.
And it's like the scheme, we talk about the defense, like you could scheme for Anthony Edwards when you have that many wing defenders. You have Caruso. Oh, you get screened. You're getting switched onto Case and Wallace. Oh, you get screened again. Oh, now you're on J-Dub. Oh, you get screened again. Now you're on Chet. It's like, oh my God, like there's just no give up with the defense. And so it's so hard. And we talk about, a lot of national media has been talking about Anthony Edwards and his words after, game 4 in Minnesota, where he was like, I think I made the right play. Like I didn't think I struggled. Well, it's like where you weren't really attacking that much. Where today, Jordan, I felt like he was very much more aggressive, but you kind of see what happens when majority of the shots are coming from your best player. Like it seems like you have to get guys involved more often with this Oklahoma City defense, man, because they're going to key in on Anthony Edwards time in and time out.
Right. And you have to take that shot. You have to take more shot attempts, right? We're looking at game 4, and the interview is like, you were kind of struggling right there, right? 2 shot attempts in the first half.
First half, man. Yeah.
First half, only 2 shot attempts. Like your team relies on you as a leader, right?
Yeah.
And he was saying, well, I felt like I was making the right play. I was guarded and I kicked it out to the right man. We just weren't hitting our shots. Like, no, they were hitting their shots. The bench was hitting the shots, right?
They put up 67. Yeah,
but like I said there, you think Kobe said that? You think Michael Jordan said that? Like, just break it down for me. You're being compared to some of the greatest, right?
Yeah.
2 shot attempts in the first half. I'm not here to talk shit or anything, but like,
you might.
I mean, we're kind of looking at it like, you think you made the right play, not taking more than 2 shots in the entire half? Come on now.
Yeah.
You're like, I mean, to be one of the top 3-point shooters in the league all season long, right?
You got to get downhill, man.
Consistently.
At the end of the day, like Anthony Edwards, game 4, he should have gotten downhill a little bit more, like he did in game 5. I like the aggressiveness that he played with, even throughout the game. They went on a little run in the third quarter, but it was nothing to really worry about. But I think that's kind of what the national media is trying to say. But in a sense, it's like I don't really agree with the whole making him the face of the NBA. Like, I don't think Anthony Edwards is that yet. You know, he's only 23.
Right.
And I'm not going to sit here and say that he hasn't done special things, because he has.
Right.
He has dropped 40 pieces in the playoffs. Like, that dude is legit.
Right.
But he's not Kobe yet. He's not Michael Jordan yet. So let's not make it out to be like he is that right now. He's just not. And SGA, who has a couple years on him, like he is 26 years old. It's crazy to think he's our age. That's nuts. But
I think
26 years old.
Yeah, Shea being 26, Anthony Edwards being 23. Yeah, it's still some of the youngest ballers in the league, right?
Yeah, and so it's like Shea has all these, years to go. So does Ant. It's going to be, a great matchup for years to come, man. Like it's going to be our generation of hoopers. I'm so ready for just the Shea versus Ant, the Ant versus, the Jokic, the Jason Tatum versus Shea, the Brunson versus whoever. It's like we have so many guys coming up that are still young. Luka, I forgot about him. But there's so many young stars, man, and it's cool to see right now that all 4 teams, or I guess now 3 teams that are left in the finals have not won a finals yet. And they're all young. Even Halliburton, we haven't really mentioned him yet, which we'll probably touch on next episode, but because I think this one needs to be kind of dialed into Oklahoma City. We got to congratulate them for, a good victory. But there's just so many young, talented players out there, man, that are deserving of the time, man. Like, we are ready for this next generation to step up and start winning championships. And it's just going to create so many new rivalries. Oh my God. I'm so excited for it, man. It's going to be cool. And I think the league is in good hands right now. But back to the game, Jordan. First quarter. The first
you know how I feel. You know how I feel about, who really set the tone early, right? Chet, right? Who would you say, on either side, right? But who really set the tone? Who was the decision maker in the first quarter?
Well, let me get to this, because the first possession that the Timberwolves had, it ended up being they got 3 offensive rebounds on the very first possession. Then they go out and hit a 3. And then from that moment, I was like, are you serious? Like, is this what we're going to do? We're still not going to box out? Like, Oklahoma City is just like, they didn't learn anything, from like game 5, because both of them let up 19 rebounds apiece on the offensive board. So I was like, are we going to really start this way if you're Oklahoma City? And then from there, to answer your question, I think it was just the team as a whole. The defense started to step up. They left open McDaniels from the corner. They were
open like McDaniels.
They were telling them, dude, like, prove it this game. Prove that you can hit shots in front of our crowd, and then we'll go ahead and close out on you. But until then, we're just going to let you keep shooting these shots. Starts out 0 for 6. And then Thunder goes on an 11-0 run from that point. So the score ends up being 11-3. They have to call a timeout. And it was just kind of GG's from there. Honestly. It was kind of GG's from there.
In that arena, you with that kind of tempo, that kind of energy, cats are out there hitting shots. It
was over. It was over from that point on. It looked similar to game 3, vice versa, right? Like, Minnesota put it on them early. Like, it started out with a 4-0 run to start the game from Oklahoma City, and from that point on, it was just all Minnesota from there on out.
Right.
Same thing here, just flipped. Oklahoma City, they get the 3, Minnesota does at the beginning, and then it just flips on its head. Oklahoma City goes on an 11-0 run. They call timeout, and it was GG's. It was just done. What was surprising to me...
Hold on 1 second. Yeah, you were talking about box outs, right? And so, like, very first play hits a 3 offensive rebounds. You're like, okay, are we just, like, is this the kind of game we're going to have, right? The very next drive, right? Defensive... Minnesota's drive, the very next one, right?
Yeah.
Anthony Edwards is walking up the court, right, with the ball. Dort's on him, middle linebacker style, right? Just straight in his face, right? Straight defense. I mean, that guy, you put him on, like, just this is the goal, right?
Go ahead and put him in the NFL for the offseason. I mean, why not?
Might as well. I mean, he was out there just white on rice. Like, Anthony Edwards could not go anywhere. Couldn't get past half court, right? But he starts going. Rudy Gobert's setting a screen pre-half, which isn't uncommon, right? Pre-half court, right?
No, yeah.
And then Anthony Edwards immediately gets double teamed, right? You got Hartenstein, and then you have
just following him.
Yeah, Dort, right?
Yeah, Dort. Yeah.
Throws it middle, right? Rudy Gobert,
Oh God.
kind of athletic as he can be, right? Right. So they crash down on him,
Yeah.
kick it out to McDaniels, got the coverage, right? McDaniels misses, and then box out, right?
Yeah.
Everybody in the paint. If you watch that second drive by Minnesota, complete box out allows
Yeah.
SGA to go up and
Get the
receive that.
rebound.
Get the
Yeah.
rebound.
I remember
Right.
that. Yeah. Yeah, I feel like they did a better job from there on out. I think Oklahoma City beat them in pretty much every category. Hey, do me a favor. Can you still see me when I do this? Can you still see me?
Yeah.
All right, cool. So just to go over kind of like the game stats real quick. Oklahoma City field goal percentage this game was 52.3% compared to Minnesota's 41.2%. If you're shooting 41.2% from the field as a whole, that's not the best, honestly. Especially whenever you have how many turnovers did they have in
20
this game?
plus, right? Was it 21?
Yeah, they had 21 turnovers this game.
Yeah. 21 turnovers.
Yeah.
Good night.
It was bad, man. And I want to talk about SGA too in this first half, or in this first quarter specifically, because SGA actually assisted or scored on 24 of the 26 points in the first quarter. So there was only 2 points, and I don't even remember which 2 points those were. Maybe they were free throws or something, I don't know, that he assisted or scored on. So that's how much of an impact the MVP of the league had on this game from the very get-go. You know what I mean? And then going on to the second quarter, Caruso scores the first 6 points of the second quarter, which kind of just shows you again the depth of this freaking team. And
right off the bench comes in.
Just comes off the bench. I think Caruso actually he did not shoot the ball well tonight, actually. He went 1 for 5 from the field. And I think one of his buckets was there in that second quarter, but the rest were just free throws. And because they kept fouling him. And we're going to talk about Caruso. I mean, I talked about his offense real quick, but a lot of his offense was just straight up from his defense.
Right.
It felt like, Jordan, every single possession, it was a turnover from Caruso. Like, he is a hound dog out there barking for these bones. Like, he's trying to get that damn ball, bro, and they just cannot seem to hold on to it, bro. Like, he's like, that's mine. Like, I'm taking it. And that's, like, I literally wrote in all caps right after I said the Caruso thing. I was like, Thunder defense, because Naz Reid turned the ball over twice back to back, transition turnovers and lead into transition points. Then that and one by J-Dub. You go up by however much at that point. Chet,
if you're tuning in, right, and you're you're not able to watch the game, right, but you're looking at looking at the score, maybe you're asking Siri, what's the score on this game? You're out and about doing whatever. Yeah. First quarter ends. Scoreboard 26-9.
Oh yeah, we didn't even mention 9 points.
9 points in the first quarter. How long is a quarter in a basketball game?
12 minutes.
Okay, 12 minutes. But also you got timeouts.
Yeah.
You got commercials. You got time in between plays. So you're looking at 15, 17, 20
minutes.
You're looking at 20 minutes of ball, and you scored 9 points. That's 3 3-pointers. Just to put it into perspective, right? I maybe you're like, oh, okay, well, it's only in real time because, cut that in half because you got offense and defense, fast transitions, whatnot, whatever, right? I look at it as a whole. Right. Even when you're sitting there on the bench in a timeout, you're still like, that's 20 minutes, 25 minutes of my life that you scored 9 points.
Yeah.
I mean, something's got to click there. Either OKC is just shutting you out defensively 100%, or you might need to start making some switches, switch something up. Right.
Jordan, this is the second time that Oklahoma City's done this too. During the Denver series game, I think that was game 4 of the Denver series. They held Denver to 8,
sub 100, in the entire game.
In the first quarter, they held them to 8 points.
Wow.
So, and then tonight they do the same thing and hold them to 9. It's just kind of ridiculous what this Oklahoma City defense can do. Also, I want to talk about. I wrote this down because Chris Finch got a technical foul, and it was.
Everybody's fouling, even Chris.
Chris Finch got a foul. He got a tech from coaching. I don't know what he said. They never broadcasted it. They never said anything about it. So I was really curious
Technical
to see.
foul, 2 minutes 38 seconds left in the first quarter. Yep.
I think they ended up getting another turnover or something like that. And I guess he was arguing that they were getting fouled or something. I'm not sure what was happening, but I think that was kind of stupid because, again, like you're putting Shea at the line, then you get possession after that, and then you're just kind of giving them the lead.
More momentum, right?
Exactly.
I mean,
don't know.
At that point, 2 minutes 38 seconds left in the quarter. You probably got maybe 6 points, 7 points at this, and you know the Thunder's probably sitting with 2 minutes left. How lights out there should maybe 18. I'd have to see the scoreboard at that time frame, right, to really see what it was. But you're not completely out of it, right? And so when your head coach is sitting there getting a technical foul, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you like to see passion from a coach, but a technical foul that early in the game, especially when you're trying to get momentum on your side, you're playing away.
Yeah.
You know, it's stupid. They're dumb fouls, and I saw Julius Randle commit a bunch of dumb fouls, right?
Yeah.
And so it's just like hone in, right? You're playing sloppy. You're in the Western Conference.
You could
Finals.
see it on their. You could see it on like their body. You know, like their whole body language as a team was just defeated before the first quarter even ended. Like,
right.
It was done, man. It was done. And there was a point in time where Caruso, I remember Julius Randle was trying to go up the court, and he ends up doing like a spin move, or he was trying to back down from like the top of the key or whatever. Caruso just comes in from his blind side, steals it, goes down the court, feeds it to SGA for the dunk. And you could see it. They called the timeout after that, and it was they showed the replays of all of them just being like so down on themselves, man. They like just complete defeat, not knowing what to do at all. Like they just had no answers.
It's that swarm defense, right?
Man.
You beat one guy. You're expecting like maybe 1 to 2 seconds to kind of breathe and make a decision. You can't with the Oklahoma City Thunder. You already have a second person, and the person that got beat, or just got passed, is already picking up where the slack was left off.
Exactly.
Right? So everybody on the court is hustling. If you watch Oklahoma City on defense, they're running suicides.
Yeah,
right?
literally.
The
all game
conditioning,
long.
the training, the mentality to stay in there. The communication all season long, all playoffs long. The reason why they have been blowing out these top contending teams is because of it's sheer conditioning, right?
Preach.
And they talk about that even on fast breaks. The defense is back, right?
Yeah.
Every single time. You can't get a fast break on Oklahoma City. Well, you can't say you can't, but it's very highly unlikely you're going to get a fast break because you're going to have two or three defenders already back.
No, it's
already
very
in
rare.
Position ready.
Yeah, it's very rare. And because Oklahoma City they don't turn the ball over.
Right.
They turn the ball over the most for the other teams, so they get the most steals and transition points, but they don't turn the ball over themselves.
Right.
So they like to, because Oklahoma City likes to play fast, but when they need to slow it down, they have a guy like Shea Gilgeous-Alexander who can slow the
game down. And you need that.
Yeah. And I think the Denver series really did them good going to 7 games because they saw so much zone that they had no other options but to slow it down, it first. They had to get guys in the middle of the court, be able to get the usually it was like Caruso or Kaysen, that would play that middle zone area. They would try to shove it back into the zone, get it to the middle, and then they would have those two guys sitting on the corners just crashing. Right. So it's either a lob, if you're going to backpedal, then I'm going to take this 2-foot running jumper. Right. I'm going to try to hit a little mid-range, or if they crash in on me, I'm just going to keep spraying it out. Hit it to the wing. You got Chet or J-Dub or Shea there.
Well, let me ask you this real quick. For newbies like myself who don't really understand the lingo other than seeing it kind of like dance moves out there, right? It's like, oh, you should have made that pass, right? Because he was obviously open, right? The open man's not always the open man, right? But explain to me the different concept between man defense and zone defense, because I noticed that the commentators kept mentioning that Minnesota in the second quarter really switched up defensively and were running more zones. You had mentioned when they were playing Denver that it was a tough zone defense. Explain to me the difference between man coverage and zone. So obviously man's man, right?
Man to man, yeah.
But what is zone?
Zone, well, there's certain types of zone. So, I mean, you can play like a 3-2. You can play a 2-3. You can play a box and one. You can play triangle defense.
What was the zone that Minnesota was running?
They would switch it up. I mean, that's what you have to do, though. I think at some points they were running box and ones. At some points they were trying to blitz Shea off the screens. At some points they were running just like a regular like 2-3. There's a couple of different ones that they tried, and it actually worked. So one of the points that I wrote down was that Oklahoma City couldn't beat the zone because there was like 3 or maybe 4 possessions in a row where they
talking about the second quarter, right?
Yeah, second quarter, that they just got straight up open looks and they just could not knock them down. And that's what the zone does. It's like the way to get out of the zone or make you get out of a zone is I have to hit perimeter shots. Okay. Because essentially what you're trying to do and what Oklahoma City's been really good at and what they've learned through the Denver series is that when you get the ball to the middle of the floor, you have 2 guys that are crashing from the corner. So that means it's usually Chet,
Chet.
Or you have like either Kaysen or you have Lou Dort or, some other guy coming in, even if that's Hartenstein too, like playing that dunker spot, which is like essentially right next to the goal, right? And so you get the ball to the middle of the floor and it's usually like Caruso or Kaysen. They catch it, they turn around, and that center, whoever's playing the middle of the floor right there, has a decision to make. Either it's I have to step up and guard the guy that just caught the ball in the middle of the floor, which is essentially like at the free throw line, or I have to stay back because I'm so afraid of the lob threat to this 7-1 giant in Chet. Like I don't want to give that up because that's 2 easy points. So what are you going to do at that point? I'm going to step up. Okay, I'm going to throw the lob. Okay, no, I'm going to back off. Okay, no, I'm just going to hit the floater. Or what you can do if they're zoning pretty well and they block off the middle of the floor is you have to beat them with the perimeter shots. And that's simply like what they just did not do.
Catch and shoot.
Exactly. What they just didn't do. They just didn't do it well. I think there was one that Aaron Wiggins shot. It was a straight air ball. He just checked into the game. It was from the right corner. They threw it to him and then he just flat out airballed it. Right. I was like, dude. And that came after like a Kaysen Wallace miss. And I think that came off of another maybe like J-Dub miss or maybe Kaysen Wallace missed 2 of them. I'm not sure. But there was like 3 or 4 possessions in a row where I was like, guys, get them out of the zone. Like because if Minnesota, if they can stay there, like they're going to stay there because you also get way more rest playing in a zone because you're only having to guard. It's kind of like football. Like you're only having to guard a zone. So if you're playing flats, right? Like I have the flat. I'm not guarding man to man. I don't have to chase this guy 50 yards down the field because that's not my job, and that's kind of that's essentially what it is in basketball too. It's like I have this spot.
I see. Gotcha.
So
okay, cool. Well, I do want to transition into one talking point, but Doris Burke. She has been the voice of basketball for a very long time. If you've been playing 2K ever since you were a child, maybe you're still playing 2K now, you hear Doris Burke's commentating. Yeah. Right. So, typically as a commentator, you want to stay away. Typically as a commentator, you want to be unbiased and you want to stay away from picking a side.
Right.
There was a foul. Anthony Edwards reached in on, I want to say, correct me if I'm wrong, was Alex Caruso, right?
Yes, it was Alex Caruso, yeah. Yeah,
and Anthony Edwards had a reach-in foul. One of the commenters said, that's marginal. It could go either way. Right. It's a tough, Western Conference Finals. You're playing in the playoffs, and you're going, this is a game decider if you're going to the NBA Finals, right? It's a marginal call. Doris Burke comes in and says, if that was OKC, it would not have been a foul.
No. They're like the way that they're guarding Ant over there, like it's not fair. Like I was like, what?
Yeah.
Like, are you serious?
So, and you hear her all the time going on and saying, validating the free throw allegations.
Yeah,
and I think it was last game or a couple games ago where one of the commenters were talking about SJ and talking about how often he drives into the paint and makes these tough shots, perimeter shots, and also just like these great moves and these great shots where he's not being fouled and he's making them, right? That just proves and beats the free throw allegations, right? If you actually know ball, I think the free throw merchant thing is kind of a cop out, right?
It definitely is.
I mean, I am an OKC fan, but I think it's a cop out how often he drives into the paint versus his free throws, right?
Game 1, he drove 28 times. Or like game 2 or whatever it was, he drove 28 times. Like, of course you're going to get fouled.
Of course you're going to get fouled, right? And for a commentator like Doris Burke that's been around forever to say something along the lines of, if that was OKC, it would not have been a foul. You're validating this negative attitude towards a team that take free throws out of the equation. OKC still would have whooped their ass.
Behind, bro.
Yeah,
it wasn't even close.
It was not even close. Consistently, game in and game out. This isn't the only time they've blown them out, right?
Exactly.
Marginally, right? Yeah. And then so the other commentator came in quickly after that and realized, oh, we need to snuff out this fire. It was like, oh yeah, that's not a foul. Or no, oh, that is a foul.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
I think it was Reggie Miller.
He made the right call. Right? Yeah. He made the right call. When you look at it and it's like, yeah, they're throwing punches, man. I mean, when you're talking about that screenplay that Rudy Gobert had, or Naz Reid had.
He trucked
him. He lowered his shoulder and then had a follow through.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then I could just hear the people saying, oh, free throw merchant, this, that, or the other. No, like that dude trucked him.
Ran him over, bro. Like,
talk about terrible fouls. Julius, I have another one right here where Julius Randle threw in a reach-in foul on
I think it was
Casey Wallace, right? Yeah. And he punched him. Like, he went over his shoulder, went for the ball, but, like, hit him. Right? And so you're talking about dumb fouls. Chris Finch, technical foul from the bench. As a head coach, you are in the Western Conference Finals. You got to have a cool head, and you got to play with some class.
No, I completely agree. And if you remember going back to, I think it was game 2, where McDaniels ends up just shoving SGA when he was on a drive. It was like he just completely just shoved him like to the ground, and it was like, and then post game interview he was like, I wasn't even mad. Fouls to give. Yeah, I have some fouls to give. I wasn't even mad. I was like, oh, okay, sure you were mad. It's like these guys are frustrated, man. You can tell on their, like, again, it's just the body language, the attitude. They're getting frustrated, and that's the thing with Minnesota is that they don't have the luxury of what Oklahoma City has depth-wise. So it's like, if you're going to commit dumb fouls and keep turning the ball over or whatnot, first of all, you're going to get in foul trouble. And second of all, you're just losing the game because you keep giving up the ball and because you're frustrated and you're giving up frustrating fouls. And you don't have the depth for, a guy that has 3 fouls in 2 quarters to just bring in another guy off the bench, and just go give you the production that Naz Reid gives you or Julius Randle gives you or whatever, because it's not that deep. They're still a deep team. Their bench is really good, but they're just not that deep. Not as deep as Oklahoma City. Where Oklahoma City, it's like, oh, Alex Caruso has 3 fouls in 2 quarters. Don't worry, we'll just put Casey Wallace in there. We got him. No worries. J-Dub's cool. He only has 1, so we'll just go ahead and throw him in for the the rest of the quarter. Oh, you want to go deeper in the bench? Oh, we'll throw Isaiah Joe in there. Kenrich Williams.
Isaiah Joe. Oh man, on the 4th quarter he put up double digits in 3 minutes.
He's going crazy.
Double digits in 3 minutes. Granted, I know you're not playing your starters and you're kind of playing the bench at that point, but double digits in 3 minutes, it's still impressive.
Yeah, that is impressive. I mean, you're playing junk time. Isaiah Joe's used to playing against some pretty tough competition too. So I mean, that was kind of, again, like, you talk about all those players out there besides like Ousmane Dieng, and maybe AJ Mitchell, but it's like a lot of those guys play significant minutes. Like Jalen Williams from Arkansas, he was playing those minutes, and he was a big factor in the Denver series. And it's like, what can you do with this team, man? It's like you got so much depth. But going back to kind of maybe like the second quarter, or end of the second quarter, I would say Oklahoma City was already up 33 points. By that point too, we just talked about the turnovers. I mean, I don't know how many times we can mention the turnovers. There's not a whole lot. I'm sorry for Minnesota fans, man, if you're trying to tune in for anything, because it was just a terrible game, and I don't know what good to say about this team yet. But 14 turnovers in the first half for Minnesota. And then the big 3, I think that really showed out in that first half. Chet went 5 for 8 with 15 points. J-Dub was 5 for 9 with 15, and Shea was 8 for 14 with 20 to end the half. You're up 33. So, I mean, the game is pretty much out of hand at that point. I think Oklahoma City, I think the reason that they kind of struggled their third quarter was because they came out so lackadaisical that they were like, you know what, like, we're just trying to get through the rest of the minutes here. Like, we just want the game to be over at this point. And then you saw, they actually went up. I think the biggest margin that they had was at 37, if I'm not mistaken. And then that lead got pushed down to, I think, 23.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I wanted to actually argue with you on that a little bit, or challenge what you kind of said there.
Okay.
Quarter 3, I actually think Minnesota, my key takeaway for there, other than in quarter 2 being Alex Caruso as being the key factor in quarter 2. Quarter 3, I actually have written down here Julius Randle. He really started shooting with more confidence, right? That's when he, McDaniel's going, 1 of 9 before the third, right? Just not hitting anything. They need somebody to step up. Julius Randle actually got up to 21 points, started shooting more confidently, right? And then so he actually hit 4 threes.
He hit 4 threes. He actually ended up with 24. He was 8 for 14 from the field.
Right.
So he actually had a pretty good game. I mean, compared to everybody else, him and I think Anthony Edwards had the best game out of their team. I wouldn't say out of like their series, but out of this game, I think those two, if that would have been them in game 4, then they would have won that game in game 4. If that's the production that Julius Randle would have gave you in game 4, then you would win game 4. But he didn't.
I think he just needs to shoot with more confidence and have more confidence when he gets past the ball. In my opinion, in this game, right? And so the first 2 quarters, his confidence was shaken because of all the turnovers that had happened, right?
Yeah.
And it's just because every time he got the ball, he realized as soon as I make a dribble, there's a hand on it. Yeah. Right. So he was second guessing where he needed to put the ball in placement just to dribble the ball. Yeah. And then as soon as, the first 2 quarters, as soon as he got double teamed, he turned it over. Right. Yeah, it was just like constant fear factor of where he needs to place the ball and carry it.
That's what the problem is with Julius Randle, though, in this series, is that when you catch the ball, Julius Randle's game is to go aggressively into the paint. He's a big body. He wants to touch the paint. He's okay from the mid-range. He's not a very good three-point shooter. So what we saw in game 1 from him when he was, I think he made 4 3-pointers in like the first half or first quarter or whatever that was. It's like, that was so rare to see from him. Then the rest of the games, you get to see the actual Julius Randle experience and kind of what we've seen from Julius Randle all year and what we've expected from Julius Randle. He's had a great playoff run, and I'm not going to, sugarcoat that. Like, he played great in the first series against the Lakers. He played great in the second series against the Warriors. And then now you finally get the true Julius Randle experience where it's like one game he'll go for 25, another game he'll go for 6. And then the other game he'll go for 27, and the other game he'll go for 5. And it's like kind of like the back and forth thing that you get with Julius Randle. Then he goes again today for 24. And you shoot actually pretty well. He shot 57% from the field. What else can you ask from him? He's playing well, but then all of a sudden, like, your other guys don't step up. Jaden McDaniels goes 2 for 13, shooting 15% from the field, 1 for 5 from 3. And, you get Rudy Gobert only putting up 1 shot. And also Rudy Gobert only with 5 rebounds. It's like, you are 7'2", 7'3", whatever that is, and you're only getting 5 rebounds.
You're trying to Euro step.
Oh, exactly, throwing it over your fucking head, bro. Like, what are you doing, dog? Like, just and again, like, Oklahoma City ran Rudy Gobert out of the gym every single night. He was never, ever, ever a factor in this series. They just simply just ran him out. Like, bottom line, Mike McConnelly went 0 for 3 from the field. DiVincenzo only put up 4 shots. He went 2 for 4. Nickeil Alexander-Walker, guess what he was?
What?
Laid a fat fucking goose egg. 0 for 8 from the field. 0 for 4 from 3. Which is that is not what we've seen from Nickeil Alexander-Walker from game 2 on. Like, he's been great. Naz Reid, I thought, had a pretty good game. He went 5 for 6, 83% from the field, 1 for 1 from 3.
Right.
and I know that we want to talk about Terrence Shannon because
he had a good game 3 and actually a really good game 3 with the minutes he played. I think he scored 16 points. Right?
Yeah, he did.
Game 4, I think he had somewhere around 13 to 14 points, somewhere around there.
Mm-hmm.
A heck of an athlete, can show up. I think in the second quarter, he kind of got walled out. And I've been looking at Terrence Shannon Jr. a little bit over these past few games, and I think he's actually going to be an athlete to watch.
He is. He's only a rookie, man. So I think they really have an asset over there. Yeah, they got a real asset over there in Terrence Shannon. I'm really excited to see kind of like his progression. Do I think he's going to be like some sort of all-star player? Who's to say he won't? But I mean, I don't know, especially when you have, a guy like Anthony Edwards alongside of you.
But that's someone he can learn from, right? And adapt.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that could be an asset to your team. Just, again, a guy that is, from what we've seen so far, is a guy that can be consistent, a guy that is aggressive too, and is a really, really good decision maker. Like there's a couple that he's had that he would catch the ball in the corner. He would make one, little move, right? Like little hesitation move or whatever, blow past his defender. And then just do his little reverse layup or whatever. And it was like, oh, that was easy. It looked like he'd done that before. You know what I mean? So I think Terrence Shannon, man, it's like the decision-making, the aggressiveness, and just the athleticism that he carries, I think will go a long way for this Minnesota team. But it's going to be interesting to see what Minnesota does in this offseason. I don't know exactly what other pieces you can grab or who's up for. I don't know. I haven't looked into any of that yet. But Anthony Edwards, man, I feel a little bad for Ant because there wasn't much he could do in this series, and especially with the guys that you had alongside of you. Again, bench played well, and other guys stepped in at some points, and I think Game 3 is when they all really, really put it together. But how often are you really actually going to do that against this Oklahoma City defense? I mean, everybody has struggled against this team. So it's not to say that Oklahoma City, we saw Game 4. It seemed like they pretty much put it all together as well. Okay, like you get a little bit more production from Anthony Edwards in Game 4.
Lights out. 60+% from the 3-point line.
Yeah, they had 67 points, man. They put up 67 points. There's only 4 of them that played. You know what I mean? And you get a little bit more production from Julius Randle that game. Like, yes, you win that game. But it's like, how often are you going to play perfect? Because that's what it seems, man. They beat Oklahoma City in damn near every single category in Game 4. Defensive rebounds, free throws, free throw attempts, 3-pointers, 3-point percentage. It was if you looked at it on paper, man, this team in field goal percentage, you look at it on paper like this team blows you out. And I'm talking 28 other teams in the league. You put up that stat line, 28 other teams in the league, you would beat them. But not Oklahoma City. And I think that just shows more about Oklahoma City than it does about Minnesota. Because Minnesota didn't matter. I think that game showed it doesn't matter how good that they play. If they play a damn near perfect game, it just simply still was not enough. It just wasn't. Especially when you get a really good offensive game from Oklahoma City because they're able to hang whenever they shoot the ball efficiently. So you get Game 4, right? And then you don't, some of your guys do not put up those kind of stats in Game 5, and these are the results that you get. Right. You get blown out by fucking 30 points.
Oh my. Yeah, at start of the quarter 3, they kind of were making a little bit of a trek, diminishing it, the lead that they had from 37 to 33, 27-23, right? So they started kind of making a little bit of a comeback. And then Julius Randle, man, talk about dumb fouls. That foul on Wallace, right? Just completely, you threw an arm in there, right? And it's not even like you're trying to hit the ball. Like it was personal, right? And I think it comes down to you're talking about high intensity games, high emotional games. Yeah. You want to keep, your back's against the wall, you're playing away, you got to have that grit. Right. It comes down to discipline. And they say that in every single sport, you got to have discipline. Game knowledge, but you have to learn how to control those high intensity and those high emotion moments and really kind of shift it your way, right? That's kind of a testament to your how you act and carry yourself as a ball player. And I think the discipline with Minnesota in this game 5 was lacking. And with the lack of discipline comes lack of consistency. And I think that's where you're kind of talking about with Julius Randle. Some nights will shoot lights out 24, high percentages, and then other days he'll shoot 6, right? Alexander Walker, right? You're talking about laid a fat goose egg today. Went 0 for 8, but in the past, 2 games he was shooting sub 50-60%, right? So it's the inconsistency. I've been a fan of McDaniels for a long time, for a couple years. I'm gonna say a long time, a couple years now, that he's been a high contender, and I would consider him more of a Mr. Reliable, right? Like, kick it to him, usually would hit those buckets, right? Make those defensive plays. It's talking about game 4 on the fast break, man. McDaniels defensively was able to stop the fast break by forcing the pass on one and blocking the shot on the next, right? They're just insane inconsistencies that come from these athletes. And I want to say, this might be kind of a hot take here, but I think it results kind of in Chris Finch there. I mean, that technical foul is really something you don't want to have early on. I understand high emotions, but if you're not able to control your emotions and you're getting fouls on the sideline, fighting for your team or not, and getting technicals, how do you think your athletes are going to perform out there? Inconsistent, right? Yeah. So kind of a hot take there. I mean, I don't know much more what I would have done in Chris Finch's decision, and how do I rotate more of the bench in if they are shooting lights out, right? You saw that kind of in game 3. He gave game 4, I mean, he gave his bench a lot more play time because he said they're hitting their shots and they're warming up. So you trust the team. But at the end of the day, I do think it starts with the coaching staff and what they harp on and practice on.
But what can you do, man? What can you do against this team? And I think Chris Finch has done a great job, an excellent job, constructing this team and getting guys to where they need to be. I think Minnesota is one of the better, developmental, programs that are in the NBA, alongside with, Memphis and Oklahoma City, obviously, very homegrown. But what can you do? What can you do if you're Chris Finch trying to go against this legendary defense? There's just nothing. There's not a whole lot of answers. You again have to play damn near perfect basketball to try to win these games, man. And it's you get lucky, like a game 3 where you play really, really well, and Oklahoma City just seems to not play that well, and you get the result. But how often is that going to happen? Not very much. Oklahoma City is one of the best teams about bouncing backs from losses, losses in general, in even bad losses. This team doesn't care. Their whole mentality and what they've been saying all year is 0-0 mentality, 0-0 mindset. On to the next. We haven't done anything yet.
Job's not done.
Job is not fucking done, son. And they go out there and they whoop the fucking shit out of the Minnesota Timberwolves in game 5, and I think they might have just blown game 3. It makes me think they just blew game 3 on purpose so they could just go win it at home for game 5.
I don't want to be one to make excuses, right? But game 3 was a mental toughness, right?
It definitely was.
Memorial Day weekend, right?
Yeah.
Let me just lay out the time frame. You go to a tough game 7 with which I think the Denver Nuggets was going to be the hardest competition OKC faces. No. I didn't have a doubt in my mind that they were going to beat Minnesota. Kind of a maybe a little bit of a hot take there.
I had a lot more free feeling, going into the Minnesota series. We got here finally,
Right, but I'm going to outline kind of the mentality of game 3. And it drives from a tough game 7, beat Denver, right? Having momentum, you play at home where you've only lost 6 games in the entire regular season at home. Just look at that, right? So home field court advantage with the OKC Thunder is huge. So you have the first 2 wins.
Yeah.
You go into Memorial Day weekend, traveling into Minnesota. It's always, Minneapolis is always tough traffic here, right? Long days, Memorial Day weekend. So there's more people out. The roads are busier. Flights, people are flying to and from to try to get to the lakes, right? Even interstate wise. So maybe a flight got delayed, right? But you're talking about the long stretch of what the NBA playoffs actually are. And so I think I don't want to make excuses, but game 3, I don't think they were mentally ready.
No, they weren't.
Physically
And they
ready
talked
to
about
compete
it.
on that caliber.
Right.
But talk about the bounce back, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So one thing that you kind of talked on was defense and Alex Caruso. We were kind of talking about that in the second quarter. I really wanted to touch on this point in the game. There's 2 minutes and 51 seconds left in the second quarter, right?
Mm-hmm.
Alex Caruso, here's how well he can perform within a split second of making a decision on this high caliber. Shea goes up to kind of a layup. Anthony Edwards beats it off the glass. Disrespectful. Like, I would have taken that personally sitting on the couch. I was looking at that and I was like, dang. All right, let's go back on our family tree and see what we could have improved on. Like, because that guy had it. The factor. It was so disrespectful the way that shot was. It beat off the glass so hard, right? Got the ball from it.
Like a sonic boom.
They give it to Anthony. Yeah, they give it to Edwards, right? Edwards throws the ball up court immediately. Alex Caruso steals it. And before his feet even hit the ground, or maybe he kind of like, it was within a half a second, he already had that ball back in Shea's hand, up for a shot. Gets fouled right there. Immediate foul, because the play happened that fast. Like, the defenders couldn't even react because they were on offense, and then within half of a second they had to be on defense, right? And that's how fast Alex Caruso was making that play and making that decision at the right time to just ultimately shut him out. Like, you can't stop that, right?
No.
And with that kind of athlete and leadership on their team is really what drives home and makes Oklahoma City,
just the best.
The best defensive team to ever see basketball.
Yeah. No, I think it's funny. Like, the crowd during that time, it was like, they're like, because they're in transition. They're like,
Like, you can't even finish your or ahs before the play's already happening. That's what I'm telling you. Like, you can, if you're watching the game back, if you have it recorded, go to 2 minutes and 51 seconds left. Around that time frame, I guess start a little early. Start 3 minutes, right? And watch that play.
That sequence of events.
And you're going to be like, damn. So we have to compete with that. Right? And Caruso didn't even start the game. Right?
No.
Like, you're talking about the starting five. He never starts. You're talking about how deep the bench actually goes.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, and then they bring in, like, some nights they'll play like 10, 11 guys. Yeah. Where usually it's like playoff basketball, you might play 8, 9, maybe, like the Knicks, dude. Like, Tom Thibodeau, their head coach, is on heat all the time because he only plays like 7 guys on any given night, and he won't play the rest of the bench.
But that's easy to watch film on.
But these guys are, like, so damn tired, where it's Oklahoma City. It's like, if they had to go play the Knicks, if the Knicks somehow miraculously came back from this 3-1 deficit that they are in position right now against the Pacers, they would be exhausted playing Oklahoma City. They would be so fucking tired all the time, man, because they will never, ever, ever get a break. They're just not going to get it. Where Oklahoma City's always fresh bodies. Casey Wallace, J-Dub.
They got a week before the NBA finals.
They got a week. And they got to sit. They have to sit for a week until the NBA's finals starts. So now they get another break. Because they came off that, that 4-0 sweep against Memphis. They had that week break. They looked a little shaky that game 1. They ended up losing off a buzzer beater. That's their only loss at home in the playoffs so far. And then, they go to a game 7 against Denver, blow them out, and then immediately turn around 2 days later, or maybe like even a day and a half later, had to go at home and play Minnesota. And it's like, oh crap, like, now we have to take a whole other break, we have to take a week break now?
Yeah.
Again?
What do we do?
Yeah, like what do we
Go
do?
see family.
Yeah. Well,
Sunday night, have a barbecue, go to church.
I know they're turning up tonight. They're going to be turning up tonight.
They're trying to be all humble on screen. You watch all the post-game interviews, like, yeah, the job's not done. And what else do I need to say? Tim Conley, what are you doing over there? What do I say? Where's the script? Right? Yeah. And then they're like, but they know they're going to go out. They're going to have a good time.
Yeah, they're going to have a good time. J-Dub talked about it. He was like, yeah, we're going to celebrate this for about
the trophy right there. Yeah. He was like doing old curls with it while Shay's over there trying to do his interview.
He was dancing.
Yeah.
Hey. This dude's an idiot. Shay was like, get out of here, bro. So dumb, dude. This team, man.
Yeah, they're like, we kind of consider you guys an AAU team, right? And he goes, oh, no, like, I wouldn't say that. We just like the presence of each other. And you could just tell, like,
yeah,
they're like, dude, we're trying to be professional here, right?
They don't know how to be, bro. There's like 20
bunch of kids, bro.
A bunch of 23-year-olds on a fucking NBA basketball team.
Making millions.
To the finals, bro. They're about to go to a finals. Most of them are sitting at like 22 years old, 23 years old, bro. Right. They're about to go to a fucking NBA finals. What do you expect them to be like?
The highest competitive...
Like, what do you want? What else do you want?
Highest competitive ball that you can play and get to is United States NBA basketball.
Most prestigious trophy you can earn in this game, you know. Right. And like these guys are literally college like age.
Imagine what were we doing when we were 22, 23 years old, man? Not playing in the NBA finals, I'll tell you that.
Going to frat parties
and drinking beer by the pool and worrying about when my next homework assignment was going to be due. Like, I got a paper overnight.
Oh,
what do I do?
I procrastinated too hard on this paper.
On this paper. Now I got to stay up all night and write this as this 10-page essay that now kids nowadays, all they got to do is put it into ChatGPT or something, have half of it written for them. Uncopyrighted. Right?
8-page paper. Like over the Revolutionary War.
Yeah.
Like, what? And it just scripts it out for you, man. Yeah, I couldn't imagine doing this at 20-something years old, man. I think they have the right attitude for it, man. And that's what I really like about this Oklahoma City team. I don't understand why people are so annoyed about it. Because if you talk like around the league, like fans of the league, I would say casuals of the league. If you like hoops, if you're like really, really like hoops like me, you appreciate this team, man. Because this team doesn't shoot a bunch of threes. They're very physical in the paint, man. Mm-hmm. They do all the right things. You know, if you're like a coach or something, which is something obviously like I'm going for, like you want your team to be like that. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? To carry themselves like that, to be close to one another like that, and to play hard like that for one another, right?
God, back in high school, we used to go in, like, what were they, like family fun times, right? What was it? We used to go on these outings, or team bonding events. You know,
yeah.
We used to. There was one time where we stayed in Lawton, Oklahoma, and we camped out and did these like team exercising. Everyone slept on the floor, like sleeping bag.
I remember that. Is that the time we went? What do you call that? Like not cliff diving, but it's like propelling.
Oh yeah, that was cool. That was cool.
Is it called propelling?
Rappelling.
Rappelling.
Yeah, we rappelled off these cliffs, and we all eventually just like started.
I dropped 60. I'm never doing that again, dude. I dropped 60 feet to my. I literally still have like a rope burn from that. Somebody like
in some places that you don't see sunshine.
I was holding onto the rope all the way down, dude. It burned through the gloves and everything, dude. I was like twisted my ankle at the very end. It was bad. I'm never doing that again.
It's like trust your team. You got one of the linemen just sitting there trying to like anchor the weight down off the rope.
There's a bunch of fucking idiots out there trying to.
We're gonna go jump off some cliffs. Team bonding, right? Yeah. And then we ended up staying and
I die
doing these team events. Yeah, but like that's what they're saying. Like, people consider you guys an AAU team, right? And then he's like, no, we just enjoy each other's presence. You know, they're all just best friends and builds team chemistry, and there's not much you can ask for from a coach or from a team to a coach.
In Oklahoma City, dude, like you have nothing else to do but hoop, man. And I understand the whole narrative around like there's not much to do in Oklahoma City, and it's like, yeah, you don't have as much to do as like if you're like in Miami or LA or Dallas or whatever. Like I understand that, bro. Right. But like when you want to focus on your craft and you want to develop and there's not a whole lot of like distractions.
Distractions, right?
This is the results that you get when you get a dedicated team that likes each other and they want to get better at their craft every single day. This is the result that you get, man. And that's why the Oklahoma City Thunder have had such a quick turnaround. If we take a look back, Jordan, man, I kind of wanted to do this too because the last time we went to the NBA Finals was in 2012.
Mm-hmm.
If we look back the last few years, because we haven't been anywhere close since that,
Mm-hmm.
Oklahoma City in the past 6 years, man, I think they showed the stat earlier. I think they won 22 games. Then they won 24 games. Then they won like 46 games. And then they won 57 games last year. And then they won 68 games this year. And they're still on their run. And like that's how quick that turnaround was, man. As soon as they drafted Chet and J-Dub in the same draft, by the way, in which I think we could have another podcast about, talking about teams that are trying to basically tank. And it's like, you don't have to tank if you just draft better.
Right.
Like, actually look into the guys that you're drafting. Anyways, I'll go on a whole rant about that. But, as soon as we drafted Chet and J-Dub, the whole entire team turned around. I understand, like, even when Chet was out that year, like his first year that he got drafted because he got stepped on by LeBron, broke his damn foot.
Right.
So, thanks, LeBron. We ended up going to the play-in that year, and that was just with J-Dub. Oklahoma City did not have a center. Like, they legitimately did not have a center that year.
Right.
And then they go out the next year. Chet, comes in. They automatically go from a play-in team to the number one team in the West. They lose to a really good Dallas Mavericks team who P.J. Washington had the series of his life during that series.
Mm-hmm.
So, whatever. Credit where credit is due. And then you go out this season, win 68 games, one of the most historical defenses, historical seasons, honestly, that you could ever think of. And that's just like within 3 or 4 years, man. 3-4 year turnaround.
Right.
And you're already in the NBA Finals, man. And you're a favorite. And you have home court advantage. So there's a lot to break down, man. I'm very happy for the Oklahoma City Thunder. I'm happy for Minnesota too because they've had to go through their trials and tribulations this year as well.
Talk about the Vikings too, right? Jeez.
God, man, they had such a good season this year, man. Until it wasn't.
Up until it wasn't. Dang.
They started out. What was their record? It was like 8-0 or something like that. It was like 7-0.
Yeah, they were undefeated in the beginning of the season. Lost 1 or 2 games, and then
they only lost like 3 games, right? Something like that.
I don't
know. And then they just got
yeah.
bounced first round. I was like, what? Whatever. They get JJ McCarthy this year, so I'm not tripping. Apparently, he's doing pretty good in training camp, so I'm really excited to see that. I'm ready for some football, Jordan. Yeah, I'm telling you, I'm ready for some football after NBA season start. We're going college. We're going NFL. We're going everywhere, man. We're gonna break down some film.
Yeah.
Damn, it's gonna be a good year, man. But we're still here in the finals. I think we could possibly wrap it up. Is there any kind of, wrapping points that you want to maybe talk about? Any last words that you want to say?
Yeah, I like to see Kendrick Perkins before the half getting giggly.
Yeah,
they zoomed in on him. He's kind of in the background a little bit. He trying not to show his bias. Kendrick Perkins came from the Thunder too. So to see his team, he's been advocating for it. And, he can't show too much emotion, but you can see him kind of with this face where he's like, cheesing without the teeth, man.
Yeah.
It was a good sight to see.
I will say, and we talked about this earlier, and I will mention this. Kendrick has been, there's been a few of them in the media that have been on this Oklahoma City train. Not on like the train, but just realizing like how good this team is. You know, Kendrick was one of the few that was on that, from the very beginning. Lakers, whenever they got Luka, I don't know why the hype around the Lakers was, I understand like Luka going to, play with LeBron, Austin Reeves. I get it. And he's in LA. But LA is not that good, bro.
I think the Luka trade was more of an idea of like, okay, the Lakers are going to continue to be good, right? Because they knew LeBron's kind of on the outs. Yeah, I mean, he's 40, going 41. Like he's reaching that retirement age. The Lakers need something to kind of invest in someone young. And I mean, when Luka beat OKC, being an OKC fan last year, that was really tough to see. I don't necessarily like Luka, his mentality in the game. I think he's young. I think he complains a lot.
I think it's just the complaining, man. It's just the ref. It's just the ref thing. It's like where he just like starts complaining. Like I can take the fouls and like the way he plays is fine. Like I think he's a phenomenal player. It's just the ref. It's like when he just starts complaining the entire time. It's like okay, come on.
He doesn't train like the top athletes do. I mean, like look at his.
Apparently, he's gotten a lot skinnier, bro.
I mean, there's
been a few posts that have been like skewing around the web. He's getting skinnier, I guess. I don't really know. Maybe JJ Redick got him on a little training pack or maybe, something.
Yeah, whatever LeBron's doing, because I don't think JJ Redick runs that team. I think LeBron does.
LeBron got him on the wine diet.
Listening to Drake, Drake's new album. Like, anyways, I'll tell you where Luka lost my respect. It was last season. He was playing OKC. He was complaining about a call that he didn't get on the ground, right? He was just on the ground, hands in the air, looking at the ref. He had two teammates come up and try to pick him up off the ground, help him up, and he's over there not acknowledging his team, still complaining to the refs. And I'm like, dude, like your team is there to lend a hand. Get up and then go cry to the ref, right? But you're on the ground wailing and throwing your hands. I'm like, dude, like that's disrespectful. Your team's over there. Like if I was your team, I'd be like, all right, fine, get your crybaby ass up and yourself, right? Like, I don't know.
There's a lot, that's what I'm saying.
Because we got some Luka,
But outside of that, it's like. Outside of like the whole arguing with the ref thing, I really like Luka. Like the way that he approaches the game. I think he is actually a cool person. If you like actually go and watch like his interviews and stuff, he's a very, very chill. It looks like he's a chill guy. Like I would actually hang out with him. Mm-hmm. But it's like whenever he starts playing ball, like he has this thing in him, man, where it's like if something doesn't go his way, it's all hell breaks loose. Right. It's like, come on, man. Like, we got to play. And that's why I kind of, when he got traded to the Lakers, that's kind of the reason. Like, I watched the Lakers a lot whenever that happened, and I watch all the good teams, right? I think the Lakers started going on a little streak. I think they won like 8 or 9 in a row or whatever it was. Mm-hmm. And I think everybody, like the national media was pushing this narrative that they were like the best thing since sliced bread, basically. And I was like, this team is really not that good, man. Like, they have a little stretch. Like, good teams go on stretches. If you're a good team, you at least one time in the season, you go on a little stretch here and there. But their defense is still not that good. They still don't have a rim protector. They still have liabilities, like, defensively, as far as Luka. He cannot shuffle his feet. He can't slide. Right. Like, he can't stay in front. Austin Reeves is not very good. LeBron's 40. And then you don't have any rim protection. Like, who do you have besides that? It's Gabe Vincent.
It's a team game.
You have Jackson Hayes protecting your rim. He doesn't know what the hell is going on. So it kind of made me upset. Like I was like, guys, because then you have smaller market teams. Like you had a really good Pistons team this year that got like no media coverage, and it felt like there was like
they had
every blue moon they would start
games last season.
Yeah, and then they go
and now they're in the playoffs.
Yeah, and I was like, dude, like why can't we talk about this more? Why can't we talk about the Magic more? Because once Paolo Banchero came back, they were a legitimate team. The Pacers, like, they were still a pretty solid team. Their offense was always pretty solid. They just struggled a lot, but it was always the narrative. Every single time I would turn on ESPN, man, always the Lakers. Every single time. I'm not kidding. Every single time I would turn on ESPN, a segment about the Lakers was on my television. And I would have to immediately turn it off because I just could not stand it anymore. They didn't talk about anybody else. They barely talked about Oklahoma City, who had the best team in the regular season. Right. Like, by a large fucking margin. They never talked about this team.
Like, not even in question.
Never.
Even close. They won the first seed in March.
And you got
early
fucking
March.
Bro, yeah, exactly. And then you have LeBron. They
could have lost every game from there and still had it.
Exactly. And you have LeBron and fucking the Lakers blowing up. Bulls are dropping a 146-piece nugget on their fucking head. It's like, you're letting the Bulls drop 146 on you, dog? Like, what the fuck? What are we talking about, bro?
Oh, my gosh.
And then Josh Giddey hits a half-court shot to win a game against you like a week later. And then the Pacers, like, you barely beat the Pacers. This is when I knew, like, this shit was all fucked up. Because I think there was a stretch of games where I think the Bulls beat the Lakers.
Mm-hmm.
Dropped 146. The Bulls went and played Oklahoma City. Oklahoma City blew them out. The Pacers had to go play the Lakers. The Lakers won by a buzzer beater from LeBron. The Pacers go out like a few days later to Oklahoma City and then get stomped by like 30 against Oklahoma City. And then I still, on national media, they're like, oh, not worried about the Lakers, even though they're losing to like these bad teams or whatever. You just lost to the Bulls twice. You barely won against the Pacers. But then yet it's like, on the flip side, you have Oklahoma City over here beating these teams by like 30 points plus, and we're still going to say that the Lakers are the best team in the NBA? Like, are you serious? Like, that's a real take that you have right now? Like, come on, man. Like, not the Celtics, not the Cavs, who had a phenomenal season up until the playoffs, not the Thunder, not even the number 2 team in the West at the time, who was, I don't even know who it was at the time, but it was not the Lakers. It was like, what are we talking? Like but you guys don't watch anybody else but the Lakers. Like, are we serious? We cover national fucking media and we don't watch anybody else but the Lakers. Are we kidding?
Right.
Like, anyways,
ticket sales, man. Ticket sales. They think LA has all the views of ESPN. So
how do you think casual fans now are thinking about most likely 2 small market teams going into the NBA Finals?
Yeah, I don't know. I know
Indiana
a lot of casual,
and Oklahoma City.
A lot of casual watchers that don't really watch much basketball other than if their team is playing in some kind of big game, right? A lot of casual watchers just kind of follow whatever the mainstream media pushes out. Right?
Exactly.
What's Luka doing? What's LeBron doing? How's LeBron's son? You know, how's the G League? Is he coming back? He got some minutes in some pro games.
Yeah.
Who's like very, very average of a player. Very, very average, you know. How are they doing, right? How are their nails? What's the newest trend that they got? But, SGA, foul merchant, you know, free throw merchant, right?
That's
okay, so every time he gets fouled, I'm just going to yell free throw merchant because that's what all my friends are doing, right? But they don't really pay attention to the stats. They don't read it, right?
Jordan, that was never a thing up until this season. Like, whenever Oklahoma City was winning 40 games, he was averaging more free throws per game during those seasons.
Right.
He averaged 8.8 this season. 8.8.
Yeah.
Which is not anywhere, like, he's 12th among, since MVPs since 2000. MVPs, I'm only talking MVPs. From 2000. He ranks 12th in free throw attempts per game. 12th. Right. From MVPs only. Yep. So I'm talking there's MVPs and then there's people that average more free throws than the MVPs.
Right.
So that means he was averaging way less than all those other guys.
Every time someone yells free throw merchant, I look at them and I'm like, so you must not like Kobe. You must not like Michael Jordan, LeBron himself, right? James Harden. You can't be a James Harden fan. Jokic can't be a Jokic fan because the foul baiting, right, is what they call it, right? And I'm just like, man, you must really just not like basketball because that's kind of what you're looking at, right?
People need an excuse, man. People need an excuse.
It's easy. It's easy. I mean, like, dude, Michael Jordan created slapping your own wrist. Yeah, he literally shot the ball acrobats and slapped his own wrist to make the slapping sound and would make the shot and catch a ball. Go watch the Michael Jordan documentary. They literally harped on it for about an hour of how he created foul baiting. But no one wants to talk about that. And who else did that? Magic Johnson, right? Like, all these all-time greats.
All your legends, man. All your legends shot free throws.
Shot free throws. But, the free throw merchant. When people yell free throw merchant, I'm like, oh, okay, so you don't know ball. Like,
Yeah.
Like, it does not prove anything. You're hopping on the bandwagon.
It's a skill, man. It's a skill. It's a skill to, it is frustrating. And that's like something that I will agree with as like an opposing fan, like watching Luka, right? Like it's frustrating when your team keeps fouling them and Luka is just trying to draw fouls because he can't get himself going otherwise. And you're like, dude, can you just play basketball? But then at the end of the day, you got to look back on it and be like, well, he's just skilled at doing it. You know what I mean? He's just really good at drawing fouls. If you don't want him to draw a foul, then stay in front of him. Don't let him get into the paint. Don't let him get to his spots. Because once he gets to his spot, he has the advantage. When he's going to get you where you want to go or where he wants you to go. As an offensive player, he's trying to get you as a defender where you need to be.
Right.
He's manipulating you to get to a certain spot so he can draw a foul. And create certain moves off those.
And refs aren't perfect, right? And national media loves to harp on if a ref makes a call and he gets challenged all the time. Sometimes refs will even turn it back on their own, right? And they're like, yeah, that wasn't a foul. But they'll blow the whistle because what they saw happened so fast that how can you react? So
you can't, man. They're not ever gonna be perfect, bro. Like they weren't perfect tonight. So it's like there's never going to be a day, even if you were to put AI out there as a ref, everybody would be fouled out in the second quarter.
Oh yeah.
So, you know what I mean? There's some things that you got to let go and there's some things that you got to call fouls on, man. And, and I think the refs, they try to do a good job as far as like making the game fair and even as far as like certain fouls that are called and trying to make the foul count even for both teams. But if you are as a team fouling way more than like, that's just simply it, man. And I think, I know the Timberwolves just went through it. So it's like, I think after this though, and, I've been telling myself this, for the past week and a half or whatever, however long we've been playing Minnesota. But I think people are going to start looking back at this Oklahoma City team, especially if they win the championship. And they're going to look back and be like, you know what, that was just like a really solid damn team. Like there was nothing else that we could have done. Like losing by 30 points and, even game 1 and game 2, losing by 25 or whatever, and then losing by 15 or 16 or whatever. It's like the couple calls here and there don't change the game, like it doesn't, it just simply doesn't. It doesn't change the game at all. Like you still lose, even taking away Shea's points, you still win the game by like 5.
Right. And then, playing devil's advocate, you're going to get those people that say, well, it slows down the momentum. And, maybe it's a free timeout and slowing the game down. And we kind of built up this steam. And then now all of a sudden we foul them and then they get a couple points. And now we have to rework it up, or we're on a fast break and then it stops, right? Where it could have been a momentum changer in the game, right? You have all of those factors, but fouls go both ways. There's have you ever seen one game where only one team fouled?
No,
it does not happen. In the history of basketball, there's never been where only one team fouled and the other team just never fouled at all. Calls are going to go both ways. It's how you can react and adapt. And you can call OKC foul baiting, free throw merchants all you want, but when they're blowing out teams like the Timberwolves in the Western Conference Finals by 30 points, I mean, you can't even put that many points in free throws and still be that close, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So it's ridiculous, man. I think all this will start to go away. I mean, if you go watch Jalen Brunson too, he does the same shit, but he doesn't really get called a foul merchant, not as much as SGA does. So I don't know, man. Anyways, though, I mean, Oklahoma City's in the finals, and I don't think SGA really cares whether or not you call him a foul merchant or not. I think SGA cares about winning a trophy. So, which I think all your other favorite players do too. But it just it happens to be that Oklahoma City just has the better overall team right now in the Western Conference. So congratulations to the Oklahoma City Thunder. Now we can say our final words, I guess. So
I've said all I needed to say. It's going to be exciting to see a week from now how the turn of events happen.
Yeah, I guess we'll see you guys in a couple days. We'll break down the series a little bit more. We'll talk more ahead about the finals. We got the Knicks and the Pacers playing tomorrow. Pacers, this is a closeout game in the Garden. So I don't know how tough this is going to be. I know Karl Anthony Towns, so many Anthonys. Karl Anthony Towns was shaken up a little bit after game 4. I think a couple of guys got a little bit banged up there at the end of the game 4. So we're going to see what's going on. Knicks are a little bit in trouble, so we'll talk that game here in a couple days. We'll talk more about the NBA Finals. If the Pacers do win, we'll touch on that. A week away, Jordan. A week away from the NBA Finals. It's a good time to be alive right now. So, congratulations to Oklahoma City Thunder. SGA winning Western Conference MVP. Had to shout them out real quick. Other than that, man, I think we've just wrapped up our first podcast here on Past Our Prime.
Stay tuned.
We will see you guys
Follow
next
us
time.
on all our socials.
Yes.
Instagram, Past Our Prime 25. You can go on TikTok. You're going to start seeing a little bit of clips. Cut up. We're going to try to post content every day, 5 times a day. Really feed that algorithm.
20 times.
But Past Our Prime 25 on there. You can follow our Facebook profile as well, Past Our Prime. You can see our new logos and everything on there. So yeah, stay tuned. I'm excited.
Stay tuned. Excited for it, Jordan. All right. We'll catch y'all next time. Stop by. Be easy. Peace.
Take care.